Trash King's intro too. Even sexier, even more jazz. Hey guys and dolls, and welcome to the Trash Movie Kings podcast. I'm your host, Adam Edwards, and I've got just a few quick notes for you before we dive in. New episodes of the podcast go up every Tuesday morning, with video versions premiering on YouTube at 1 p.m. Central the same day. We record on Thursday nights, so give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at Trash Movie Kings to see what we're watching. That way, you'll be up to speed when the episode releases on Tuesday. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, our email address is trashmoviekings@gmail.com, so go ahead and drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Alright, with that out of the way, let's jump in.
I'd have to live with the dead.
What if this is just like a
really
yes and movie that they're playing completely straight?
Tomorrow we'll make the 9-mile hike to Dr. Lucas.
Don't need to listen to that Sunny podcast.
And then I'll phone the cops. That guy should be locked up for good. He's...
What is happening in this movie?
I have no fucking idea.
They killed...
Did they? Okay, there was like a little zombie that came out of... Was that his wife?
No, but they ended up killing her.
Because she was having a zombie come out of her?
I don't know why.
Okay, let's just move forward.
got a criminal mind. He's evil. Should be dead. Fuck, give me a beer.
What do you have for me this time? Hacking into the stock market, closing down a bank, fixing an election. It's all easy.
Right on.
What a bunch of trash.
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Trash Movie Kings podcast. I'm your host, Adam Edwards, joined tonight with Joey Graham. Hey, Joey. Justin Petty. What's up, JP?
Hey, yo, what up, homies?
Just some bitch, Michael Langhausen. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, what's good?
And Apocalypse Howl is out on assignment this week, so no Apocalypse this week. But tonight, we watched the 1989 movie video, whatever you want to call it.
8mm spectacular.
Yeah. Things, which is, as Mike pointed out during the movie, widely regarded as one of the worst movies ever made.
I guess it's like...
I would agree.
It has to be in the conversation, at least.
Yeah. Directed by Andrew Jordan, starring and written by Barry J. Gillis, and also starring Amber Lynn. So at least it had that going for it.
Has anyone ever seen an Amber Lynn porn? Because I cannot recall one. I may have seen one. I've seen a lot of pornography.
I may have without knowing it, but I've never like sought out Amber Lynn the way that I've sought out like Debbie Does Dallas, right?
Right, yeah. She seems like she's in maybe some of those old classic porns. Are you about to say, Justin, you have a full collection of Amber Lynn porn?
Nice.
Can you hear me?
No, I don't. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. I thought you were having audio issues, but you're just...
He was having audio issues.
I am also having audio issues. Every time I talk, it's peeking into the red. I don't know why.
Peeking, bro?
You're peeking? Always peeking.
Peeking, bro. Always peeking.
Well, Justin, I know that you're having audio issues, but this sounds like a good time for you to try to explain what the fuck we just watched.
Yes, please explain the plot to us, Master.
All right. It starts out with a guy and his wife who might already be dead or is instead just wearing a devil Halloween mask. I'm not sure if like he's having a like a waking nightmare of her, but they're trying to have a kid apparently. And she won't have sex with him, but instead decided to pull a kid out of a closet and say we've had a kid this whole time. It's an infant in a crib, and then the horror scenes later with the scooping of the eyeballs. That's just transitions to these two guys walking into a fucking house.
You just threw in something about scooping out eyeballs into the initial plot.
Yeah. Because that's what I remembered. No, because that was the
remembered.
I was trying to remember if there was one or two like creepy nightmare demonic scenes, and I guess the scooping of the eyeballs came later, didn't it?
Yeah.
Not much later.
Not
I feel like
too
the scooping of the
terribly
eyeballs was probably the first 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's after we meet the two guys, right?
Jesus, I don't know, honestly.
Okay.
Anyway, this guy is, and his wife died. You find out later his wife dies, or was dead, when he's talking to his buddy, it makes an abrupt jump cut to these two guys entering this house, and we spend about 15 or 20 minutes sitting with these guys having innocuous conversations that should never have been put on film for any reason. I don't understand why.
Is that when they were in the house or cabin or whatever, and they were trying to loot the guy's beer?
Yeah,
but it was like, I guess it eventually got to that point, but it was like 20 or 30 minutes of them just like, one of them sitting on the couch, one of them's in the kitchen, and they're talking about nothing. Like it's.
Well, I wouldn't say it's nothing.
Party.
You sure Doug won't mind if we have a few of his beer?
We can drink all we want.
Are you sure?
I like how they're using beer as if it's like deer. They bring up the Bestiality Network.
Yes.
And they're making sandwiches out of just bread.
Well,
So these guys just broke into that other guy's house and they're just getting wasted.
It's pretty creepy up here. Why don't you put something
That
on
seems tight.
TV?
There's
Yeah.
an idea.
They get the Bestiality Network up here. You can get the underground station.
the fuck? Day old bread.
Yes.
Looks like it was brand new.
Day-old bread or 60-day-old bread?
It's 60-day-old bread.
60-day-old bread. That's
Yeah,
what I thought.
It looked like it was like maybe day old.
At a certain point, like a third guy walks into the house. Oh yeah, that's it. This is the third guy comes in, gets a beer, and that's when he makes them the sandwiches, right? But this third guy just is new to us. We don't get introduced to him. He sits down and like he's always been there. And then it's more meaningless conversation for probably another 10 minutes. And then we get the scooping of the eyeballs scene, which I don't understand what role it played in this movie, but
Yeah, I don't remember whose eyeballs they were or why they were being scooped.
we just jumped to this like scientist in a laboratory or like a.
Okay. You think that's supposed to be the wife?
No, it was definitely
It was a guy.
Because they also, I think before the eyeball, didn't they pluck his tongue?
Yeah, they pulled his tongue out.
Okay.
And then they scooped his eyeball out, and then we just cut back to the two guys talking in the house again, and
Right.
they feel disconnect, like we're watching two different movies.
Yeah.
And then we get these random, Amber Lynn, not Tracy Lords. We get these random scenes with Amber Lynn, a porn star, who they hired for about 5 minutes of this movie to do fake newscasts on a TV that is it in the room? Are they watching this TV? Or is she like narrating the movie we're watching?
Yeah, it's kind of like an exposition dump whenever she's on screen, but it doesn't help.
How does it tie into the story at all. Like, what does she say? Like, what news is she presenting or talking about that relates to what the hell's going on?
She's not really giving us any information.
I can't think of any one thing that she actually said.
Yeah, no, it's just like,
every time she comes on screen, you're like, oh, Amber Lynn.
Yeah.
Like it was just so distracting. Like I couldn't figure out, like I wasn't listening to anything she was saying because I was just like so focused on her looking off screen, reading these cue cards like way to the left. And
Yeah, that's fair.
like they hired her for such a short amount of time that she couldn't even remember her line, or they probably didn't even give her lines to remember. They just held up cards and said, read these.
well, and it's weird because once the movie's over, there's like a post credits
Yeah.
scene.
Uh-huh.
It's like a blooper reel kind of thing, but it's like a good probably 2-3 minutes of her just telling a story about being Amber Lynn, and she has more lines and personality and screen time in that thing than the entire movie.
Well,
it was also shot better than anything in the entire movie.
Yeah,
it
accidentally
suddenly looks brighter and like has more charm to it.
Well, in that interview, she at the very she really loved telling the stories about herself, and it's kind of like one of the most memorable parts of her in the movie, really, because of that. Like, she's so like into telling stories about everything she's done. To people that are making the movie.
Well, and they also include that in the editing of the film because I think that's their most proud moment of this film. It's like, we got Amber Lynn, porn star sensation of the early 80s, perhaps. But this movie is what, 89?
89. Yeah.
When was Amber Lynn popular the most? I have no idea, honestly.
I mean, probably like mid 80s, like mid late 80s, I guess. I don't know.
It was probably a big deal for them to have her on set for even, an hour or whatever it was. She showed up to like someone's house in Toronto. Maybe she's a Toronto porn star. I don't know. That's interesting.
She's from Orange, California.
Okay.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm reading a porn star's Wikipedia page, which is something I've never done before.
But Toronto Toronto is not that far from New York, right?
Right. I think so.
Sure.
I think it's fairly close.
Wait, are you still on this thing about this movie definitely being made in New York?
No, it wasn't.
No.
I don't think it was.
I'm just thinking of how the fuck she got into this movie.
It's a Canadian movie. Like,
right,
it's
Canadian
made by
in
Canadians
Toronto.
in Canada. Right.
Definitely in an apartment for the most of it. And then they're suddenly in the woods at the very, very end because they had some woods to shoot in, or they found a public park. I don't know. I
guess we got off track.
I'm just curious. I just think that's the point of this movie for these filmmakers.
There's a reason to get her on set.
Okay.
Yeah, like they were very happy.
I'm now looking up. So Amber Lynn was she dated for a long time another porn actor named Jamie Gillis, who I am assuming is the brother of Barry Gillis, who is the writer and star of this movie.
Okay, so somebody was brothers with a guy that was dating a porn star, and you're like, "Fuck yeah, let's make a horror movie and put that porn star in it." But we
actually, Barry Gillis might be the same guy.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Well, Justin has a good point about being off topic, but really, how can you be off topic with a movie called Things? It's just
all things are considered topic.
Yeah.
Oh God.
We're
anyway. Wait.
What happens next?
So the plot to me, and
we haven't gotten to the spiders yet.
No, yeah, okay. So what it seems like happens, but the movie itself, I don't think represents this. I think the idea is, we were talking about it, and it doesn't seem like a bad idea. is that they perform an experiment on this guy's wife, and then she opens up like a gateway to whatever dimension, and aliens are just coming out of her womb or pussy. And like just filling this cabin apartment with little alien beasties, and these guys just have to kill them all, which that in and of itself I think is an interesting kind of movie. Yeah. But is that actually what's happening? Because I have no recollection of the wife giving birth to anything ever. They just mention it, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, she says we've already got a baby and pulls up a baby carrier, but you never see the baby in it. And also you've never see her giving birth to. Yeah, you don't see her giving birth to that baby or any of these creatures. You just never see her again.
She's in the movie for all of 5 minutes and then she's gone, right?
Yeah. There's no reference to like where these creatures are coming from. All the way to the end, they never reveal.
Well, because at the end, and this is my read on it, and I mean, who the fuck knows, but most of the movie is spent like killing these creatures and then killing each other and all kinds of shit like that.
Strange.
What the?
Wait, did he?
I think he got possessed by the weird thing.
This is like
they have to kill him.
It's like the creepiest version of Step Brothers.
And at the end, one of the guys kills the other guy, or like drills into his head or something like that.
Yeah, there's a good electric.
Wait, is that what he was doing, or was he drilling into the dog that he said he was eating?
That was before that. So
Yeah,
he
like
drilled into the dog
moment.
that he ate, but then later he drilled into his friend's head with like a concrete drill bit. But anyway, then this other man appears, and it appears that the entire thing was a dream or a hallucination. And like he definitely killed the woman and the guy, but the creatures I think were hallucinations.
And now we're back here.
Down from Grizzly Flats.
It's the daytime now.
Bastard, huh? Susan's dead. Everybody's dead. All because of you.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you. There's hundreds of creatures around this goddamn hellhole. All because of you. Do you want to see some blood?
And look at this fucking
You want to see some blood?
drapes.
First
Window
off,
drapes or whatever. They're made of plastic.
Oh, God, what a horrible mess. You're watching too many horror movies, pal. This place is empty.
Ow. I
Yeah.
have no idea. I'd missed that entirely. If that is true.
Oh shit! That's also what happened in the beginning. I forgot about that. He
Well,
woke up from that first dream in the very
Right.
beginning.
Yeah, I was gonna say at some point that was never his actual wife. That was a hallucination. But then I thought there was supposed to be a real wife.
Okay. Here you go. The plot follows two friends in a remote cabin who discover a womb of monstrous horror that demands graphic dismemberment.
Oh, I hammered your head.
A womb or room?
All right.
A womb.
Okay, so a woman's womb.
Yeah.
Blood.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Gotta get some bandages to you.
So it's her womb. She's somewhere in the house just giving birth to these things everywhere. Huh?
God, you're so
Yeah.
heavy.
But they
Because
don't
of
know where
whatever
her body is.
scientists do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Blood. Ugh.
because they couldn't have babies.
But it's his wife, right?
In the way.
I guess.
So maybe he's having nightmares about his wife because he does say his wife died or was killed. So maybe.
Let's be honest. Neither of these people are married. These are two guys doing drugs in the woods.
Yeah.
That is what the actual movie I think is.
If you put two serial killers in a cabin together for 2 years, this is what happens.
He makes this weird joke about him eating his niece, and I'm like, what? Like, are these people supposed to be normal, and then this stuff is happening to them, or are they serial killers? Or like, they're on the beginning of their serial killer journey, and they're just about to start, or no, and then they're dealing with these aliens. What? There's like, do you even know what I'm saying when I just?
We're watching like what could be
Yeah.
the origins of two serial killers, but they get killed by aliens before they can kill their first victim.
Right, it's like two serial killers getting their start, and then there's aliens.
It's kind of rad.
It's an insane idea. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more it's like it's a good idea. The filmmaking itself is fucking awful.
Yeah, the filmmaking is terrible. So
And-
I guess since we've got, well, Justin, did you have anything else that you wanted to say about like the plot?
The plot, yeah, I don't know. They turn on lamps really good.
Oh yeah. No, I mean it kind of loses the plot after the aliens show up, and at that point it's just a bunch of killing until it ends.
Yeah, it's hard to follow.
Yeah.
It's, at one point they're walking down the hill of the woods, but they're definitely already dead, so they're not really doing that.
Wait, at the end of the movie when they're in the woods running around like crazy, and then there's another guy on a bridge, like a brand new character in the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they're back at the house again.
Right.
I have no.
And then there's the zombie of the blonde guy who's like really snarky and has some really good lines. Shit, that guy. He's not dead.
See, he's in a dream.
I certainly feel like I'm in a dream.
Oh yeah, he kept reading the
Like-
lines like he was in a monster truck commercial.
Oh yeah.
It's like murder is written all over your face. Yeah, I wish when we're editing this, we should definitely play some stuff from that guy delivering his lines because it's really fucking funny, but I can't remember any of it.
This is ghastly, brutal, horrible.
Oh God, what a
Insane.
horrible mess.
Ghastly, brutal,
Blood and guts,
insane,
that's
monster
all that's left
truck.
of her.
Yeah, crazy. Wow.
I must scoop it up to smell it.
Yeah, we'll leave it up to the editor to find. But yeah, so it's a decent idea, but the filmmaking itself is
Atrocious.
fucking travesty.
It's
So
a nightmare.
we've got
Yeah.
Michael, we've got Joey. Talk a little bit about the filmmaking, like the lighting, the fucking the shots, the ADR, like what?
Yeah, I mean, from shot on soup. What is it? Super 8.
That's what I read. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sort of has a feeling of like a home. You're watching somebody's home movie, and like some of this like is really happening. Like you're watching smut.
Yeah. We talked about it like almost feeling like a snuff film.
Yeah, snuff.
Which is like an interesting idea if it were intentional, but it's not.
Well,
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
at all.
Right,
Like,
which makes
we
it
have-
weirder.
we have better examples of films that toe the line of like low budget that start to feel real, which the epitome of that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which takes a low budget and makes it feel scary with the aesthetic of it. But this feels scary in a way that isn't real but isn't fake. It like falls, I don't know.
Yeah, what I
It's-
mean by like it feels real is like the dialogue is so meaningless, and it's just it
Yeah.
feels like a conversation that two idiots would actually be having. Like it feels like nobody would ever write this kind of dialogue. Why would anybody write this kind of dialogue? Ever.
Right. It doesn't feel real in a sense that it's happening. It feels real in a sense that you are very, very aware of the process with which they chose to make this film. And you're like questioning every second of it to the point where you're like, I am just watching insanity vomit on screen, and it's disturbing. It's disturbingly bad filmmaking, I would say, because what are we in 1989? Like they've seen these guys, assumingly have seen a lot of decent horror films, good horror films, and just have no idea how to craft one, and to the point where it's like, whew, like what's going on in their heads?
Well, and not only that, but they don't even understand their tools, right? So they have a Super 8 camera, which may or may not have a partial zoom lens on it. It may not have that at all, but the whole thing, because they don't even understand how to even pick up and use a camera, whoever it was, but it feels has a sense of being claustrophobic. Like you never have any environmental awareness,
right,
throughout 90% of it, which adds to like the delusions you have of like what the fuck is going on.
It makes it, you're hyper aware of the filmmaking, but the filmmaking itself is scary. Like I like as you're watching it, you're like kind of like uneasy about being on that set, because you're like kind of you can feel what they were doing when you were making it, and you're like, oh, this is like giving me anxiety. like
imagine it almost feels like I said it earlier, like if two serial killers sat in a house together but almost feels like two serial killers decided to make a fictional movie. And this is what came of it. Like they wrote and made a movie because they're psychotic or whatever, schizophrenic. I don't know. This just came out.
I wouldn't go so far as
insane.
Like they're killers, but yeah, they're definitely disturbing people that I wouldn't like chill with.
No.
These guys are just saying everything that pops into their head. Everything that's shown on screen, they comment on it.
I think this is more of me and Michael Langhausen tripping out on acid for like a week, and we come back with this. Maybe Steve's there. It's three guys in an apartment in Toronto or wherever the fuck they shot it. Maybe they really did shoot in a cabin. I don't know. But it's so, you're right. It's like so tight, and there's the lighting is bizarre, and just there's the plot is so strange. It's like people coming in and out of it. It's very trippy, and to use just one word for it, but it's not pleasant to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, most of the movies that we try to watch here are like have some form of lightheartedness to them and are like digestible and things like that. This is definitely a darker movie. Like this movie has a deep darkness to it. And so like as I look through the questions that we have, I'm like a little disarmed with it, right? Where I'm like, I don't know how we talk about what was it lacking. Like, I don't know.
This for sure wasn't fun trash. This was uncomfortable trash.
It was fine, but
it had moments of fun.
But moments.
But like I was impressed with the a lot of the like prosthetics and makeup and stuff were pretty good.
Yeah.
Like some of those
they're fun.
gore effects were pretty crazy.
What the fuck is happening?
There's a woman that we've never seen. How are they doing that so good?
I don't know. That's pretty cool.
Probably real.
Is it just a snuff film? That guy's face. Oh my! Was that Mr. Bean?
It's the dude's head gets cut off, and then they come at it with a torch, and it's burning.
It looks like
This is gonna hurt me.
it just looks like wrapping paper. Oh, he's carterizing.
I know it's gonna hurt.
Carterizing? Carterizing?
Moderate just with an open flame. I don't think that's how that works. But
I think it's just burning his arm.
I learned this on the
They
Right,
just, yeah, they just set his stump on fire.
It's some of the makings of a madman, and I joked about this being something that possibly me and Langhausen, or maybe just Langhausen by himself, would make after like an acid trip for like a several weeks, or maybe just 1 week. Maybe you just need a day to make this movie.
This is what would be made while on an acid trip, I think, not after.
Yeah, it's
you make this and then you wake up the next day and turn your camera on and you're like,
right, yeah,
happened?
while on it, exactly, while on it. This is not like a good idea you had after being high, and then you go back and look at it and figure out what the idea is really and form a story around it and whatnot. This is what you make while actually high, and like people make that joke a lot, like, you know, about major movies, like, oh, they were high when they thought of this or whatever, made this. It's like, this is a movie where that's feels very, very apt.
Yeah, it seems like a definite absolute.
Well, we were saying it was fun in parts. I think the funnest stuff is that now that I'm thinking about it, is the dialogue. The stuff that I was laughing at the most is like random things of like, oh, I ate my niece, and then it's like, oh, this like was it like a cute little bloody dog over here, like when there's no dog even present, and then the bestiality network. It's like, yeah. The more I think about the fact that they wrote those lines and decided they should be in the movie without any other explanation, makes it even darker. I'm like, yeah, these people fucking kill people.
Or when he's drinking his beer and he gets up and fills it up with water, and it's like, wait, what does he say? Some good old natural American
water.
Natural
American water.
Pure American water.
You gotta mix it with your bud or whatever the fuck.
So is that joke that the cabin they're staying in is in America, but they're from Canada? What does that mean?
Point. Yeah, because I think it's just like any other fucking Canadian horror film. It's trying to be in America, and it's not. Because American slashers. This is past even the prime of slashers, which is only like what, 3 years or something in the early 80s. So these dudes maybe have seen a lot of those movies and are just trying to make like an American slasher movie 6 years too late, which is, you know, not that long really, but such a finite moment in culture. I think that's what they're doing, you know. Maybe, well, also, you know, there's a little bit of Cronenberg perhaps to what they're doing. Like, especially some of those cheap early Cronenbergs that I feel like he uses, like little monsters like this. So it's like kind of a weird mishmash of things, I suppose. Things.
They were definitely good, a lot better at making creatures and props than they were at making a movie.
Yeah, the props and little things aren't bad. I guess they made multiple because they chop them up so many times, but it could very well be the same little puppet that they have just using over and over.
No, there was that one shot where the guy was trying to claw his way through the door, and when the door opened, it was like a room full of them laying on on top of him and around him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when the brother dies and he's like a skull talking, that's kind of an interesting.
Oh God, I forgot about that. Yeah,
yeah, and he's like, "Hey, I'm not dead. I'm not dead. I'm over here. I'm doing stuff."
I don't know.
Don, I'm still alive. They haven't got me yet. Don,
Oh my god.
Don, help me. I'm still alive. Now I'm really pissed off. You shithead.
Yeah, there's a lot of dialogue that pops in, or not really dialogue, but voiceover that pops in. It has a feeling of those early 1980 cartoons.
Yeah. I think we found out like it wasn't voiceovers. It was just really, really bad ADR. It was supposed to be
ADR.
Conversation between two people.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Which
the audio was so far removed from the scene.
I'm wondering they in the credits they have Boom Man. So I guess they had some production audio, but it doesn't seem like they use a ton of it. Although and it seems like in parts they did. The full thing is not ADR because you can really tell when it's ADR because it sounds like a guy on a mic like this. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
what do I say? What do I say?
I think it is ADR throughout there. Anytime two people are talking to one another, that's ADR for sure.
Yeah, since they had a boom operator, I'm just assuming that maybe it was parts, but I didn't notice.
Maybe it was for sound effects or something. I don't know.
It could be like how
somebody definitely held the boom while he was wiping a towel against the microphone.
Yeah. I think when we shot with Bash Potato Face, we had a boom operator. I used literally one line from the entire production audio, I think, because I couldn't get the actress to do the line the same. That was about it.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, like, maybe they were like, it's all bad. Maybe it sounded terrible, Maybe they had a huge generator sitting outside and they were like, we can't use any of this, but we paid a boom operator. At least it's there, so you know what was said.
There's definitely. I want to know if like who did the ADR, like the voices, were the actual actors, because there seems to be a much stranger, in a different way, like a very different energy in the ADR voices than what is on set. Like there's an awareness in whoever's doing the ADR and the voices that does not appear on camera or in set.
Right. It changes the tone for sure. Like there's a different version of this movie that you could do with better ADR that probably would even be scarier to be, or, like not scarier, but more disturbing, I suppose.
Yeah. Like the ADR, just the way they're doing the voices, the screaming, all this, the mouth sounds that they use for almost all the sound effects has it has a silliness to it that feels intentional that is definitely not there on screen.
But it still creeps me out.
Yeah, that's what makes it weirder, because it almost feels like somebody found this very unsettling movie and then decided to dub their own audio over it.
Did anybody have a specific favorite part?
Yes.
Go ahead.
When the two guys were fighting or yelling at each other, and it just got like really elevated really quickly, and he was like, "You never told me you were an asshole either. I had to find out for myself."
Oh yeah, that was a good line.
Yeah, I think just generally the bizarre dialogue was kind of not, I mean, it's not good, but it's my favorite thing about this movie, just the bizarre lines.
Yeah. Them using red light bulbs as nighttime.
Yeah.
Wait, is that what you were going to say?
No, I was going to say, like, I really liked the, I mentioned it before, but some of the effects, like, there was that shot early on when they're slicing that dude's throat, and it just looked very real. It was like, holy shit. I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, I want to know how they did that. I wonder if they like cut a scoop out of the blade and just like had the blade pressed against the neck or something.
I thought, but then they kind of twisted in a way that doesn't seem like that's what they're doing. I have to look at it again. It's pretty good. If there's any actual technical good shot of this film, it's probably that for sure.
Yeah,
and they just kept tugging. It was such a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
They just kept yanking it around.
Back and like it's an aggressive.
Yeah,
slice.
It goes on for a while.
Yeah.
Or the panning over to the dog that doesn't want to come next to the actor.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. Donkey.
Yeah.
Piggy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they got a dog?
There's a dog.
Got a girl.
I love dogs.
Is that a girl? Oh, wait. He's into bestiality. I forgot.
The dog got on the light on the other side of the couch, and he was like,
right. had to pan over slowly.
I guess the best performance is obviously Amber Lynn, so we don't really need to discuss any more of that.
Yeah. Really great
I mean-
performance there.
Definitely at the end when she was being herself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the best performance of the whole thing. Her telling stories about fucking. I can't remember anybody she was telling stories about, but it was
Herself.
famous. It was like famous people from a decade or two earlier that she had
Yeah.
been hanging out with,
Yeah.
like famous people from the '60s. Oh, she was talking about Anne Margaret.
Oh,
Yes, that's right. Yeah. It's Anne
Yeah,
Margaret.
at least Anne Margaret, and like that's actually pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I would like to hang out with Anne Margaret. She's alive, right? She's not quite dead.
I don't know. But this is the question that I think is probably the most interesting one based on this movie. Would any of y'all want to remake this?
So
Yeah.
Yes.
Could any of us remake it?
It's inspired me to want to make something this awful. just for fun. This feels like something I would have done when I was like 9.
I suppose that it is in a way inspiring because it's so minimal.
Yeah.
Just like just point the camera and shoot it.
I find it inspiring because it's weirdly genuine. Like they just kind of made a fucking thing. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it'd be interesting going back to Joey's ADR comment. Instead of doing a remake, you have several fans out there that really into the film. Go back and cut together like a 5-minute short with new ADR and different sound effects, different music, and just see
where it came out. Yeah.
I know they did this on Last Drive-In, but like I didn't really watch much of Joe Bob's commentary on it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm kind of interested. I want to go back and check it out. I was so tired that night.
Yeah.
Like,
There was an episode of Joe Bob last season where they showed this film and another film, but I can't remember the other one. But yeah, I didn't really make it through it because this movie is pretty. Yeah. You guys forced me to pay attention. Otherwise, I probably would have abandoned this thing because it's.
But yeah, like that's what I mean. Like after
strange
watching it with you guys, I sat through it all. When I tried
Now
to
I
watch
wanna
on
hear
Joe
what he
Bob's,
has
it
to
was just
say.
like I just couldn't. But yeah, I'm genuinely curious now. Like I want to know why this
What the fuck?
exists.
Yeah. I don't remember a lot of the commentary for it. Sometimes when I'm watching Joe Bob, like I'm either watching the movie and not listening to him, or the reverse where I'm listening to him and not watching the movie. And I think it was that one maybe. So I just remember him talking about Amber Lynn and that it was Canadian, and that's about all I remember. But no, I think you could remake this movie. I think the idea of a woman, generally speaking, performing an experiment on somebody, maybe not whatever this experiment was, but if the side effect is them giving birth to alien species, that's kind of interesting. That's pretty interesting plot, I would say.
Yeah.
It's it's not bad. It's pulpy, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually what the plot of this movie is, but that's what
It sounds as good as
seems to be.
anything.
That's what it seems to be. It could very well be anything else. I think they just kind of were shooting stuff, and they're like, it's kind of like this, or whatever.
They went to their investors and like, hey, we got things.
The idea of there being investors on this is
Yeah, no.
dubious.
They had distributors. They said special thanks to our distributers.
Well, yeah,
our partners.
Someone wanted it, I guess.
Someone put it on video.
That's what I was saying. Is it was a special. When we were watching it, I was like, it was a magical, weird time in the '80s when the VHS market was so hot that you could just put out any kind of weird garbage like this, and as long as the cover was cool, people would be like, yeah, we gotta rent fucking Things.
Yeah, but the
Look at
cover
this
is
cover.
not cool. It's fucking creepy, and it's not unsettling in a I want to see this horror movie kind of way.
Yeah, I
It's-
don't. What I
It's
mean,
like you found this in like your weird uncle's basement, and it was a photo shoot he did of himself.
yeah, cool is not the word. Intriguing, I suppose, is the word. Like if we had seen this cover, I'm sure it looks like shit. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm sure it's.
Oh, you haven't
different
seen the
than-
cover of it?
No.
You should
What does
look
it
up the
look-
cover art.
Is it red?
It's the dude staring into the
Things
staring
what
into
is
the
it,
camera.
1989.
Yeah. I think it was at the end of the
VHS.
movie. Like after Amber Lynn finished her thing.
Okay, yeah, I vaguely remember. Okay, whatever. I'm seeing two different ones. They're both equally bizarre.
Is one of them the dude with the mullet and the mustache just staring into the camera holding a weapon?
Yes, and then there's a couple other. There's a couple other that are just equally like, what the fuck? They did one with Amber Lynn on the cover. Did you see this one?
Oh,
wow.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Wow. That might be the thumbnail.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking weird. But like, yeah, if you're in the mom and pop VHS or video rental store and you've watched, most every other horror film, you're definitely fucking getting that one. Because you're like, this looks fucking terrible. I need it. And people did it. It was a different time. Anyway, yeah, someone should remake this.
Yeah.
Someone will.
And if they do, like, one thing that I think this one really lacked, like for us specifically, it didn't have a lot of bees.
Did.
It had boobs right off the bat, and it had a lot of blood.
And
Had
Bush,
boobs, beast, blood, and bush.
It did have
Yeah.
bush.
It had the main tenets, I would say, just
Yeah.
not the extras. It had buds, good buds.
Did have buds.
It did have good buds. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that makes like what, 5 maybe?
but
It did
it's
have a bud.
bad.
It had 5 of the 6 bees.
Boobs, bush, buds, blood,
Men's
Beasties.
bellies.
beasts. Was there really butt? I don't know.
Yeah,
There's-
she-
There was
at the-
there was bods.
I
There
mean,
were
Uh,
buds.
There's
Men-
one bod.
There were
men's
bodies. There was definitely bodies.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a pile of dead bodies.
No boners.
I don't know if the buds is Budweiser. Were they drinking Budweiser? They're probably drinking Labatt.
Molson.
Molson.
Fucking Canadians.
Yeah, so I guess we can move on to like, did y'all like it and rate it out of 5 bags? I guess we can start with, I don't know, who wants to start?
Langhausen, you want to go first?
No.
This one's tough because it's like is this in a trashy kind of way? Is this better or worse than Carnosaur?
That's what I was thinking. Like
Because
is how bad this is. Like, is that good for? Like, is this high trash or is this low trash?
it's so confusing sometimes because it's like I feel like as a trash movie you should probably want to see this, but as a movie it's awful.
Well, in the movie, it says itself trash.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does say one of the
This is trash.
yes.
It sure does.
After making his beer bottle water.
I feel like I would probably give it 3 bags.
So yeah, that's what I was thinking too, actually.
Because it's one of those where it's like, look, I'm never going to sit down and say, you know what I really want to watch tonight is Things.
But
But-
I am absolutely gonna say that if somebody was interested,
Right.
in shitty stuff like this.
And that's what I was
I'm
going to
gonna have to
is
say
like,
that too. Like, I would absolutely watch this.
if
again.
somebody was interested, or if it's one of those nights where it's like, all right, it's now 2:30 in the morning. I've been boozing since 8 or whatever, and I'm just in that weird headspace. It's dark, like the world is dead, and I just want to watch something fucking weird. It's gonna be Things.
You just want to
Right.
watch some things
There's-
weird.
Yeah,
And there's a lot better things you should put on, but they aren't things.
they are not Things.
Yeah.
Things occupies a space that I didn't know existed.
It's like when we found out Brain occupied a space we didn't know existed, but like
Yeah,
the opposite and worse.
yeah. So I'm giving it 3.
I'm gonna go 4. I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think there's an authenticity and a genuine nature to this that it kind of elevates it in a way to me that like something like Miami Connection did too. Like you could tell they really wanted to make a movie and they just didn't know how to do it right. And there are things that they are good at and things that they definitely have a knowledge of, such as like the prop making and the special effects, but like making the actual movie was not one of those things.
Yeah. There's we keep using that word.
What?
Things.
Oh yeah.
To
So yeah,
describe
I don't know.
things.
I think it's we watch a lot of trash that like a lot of that trash was made to make a buck or made to be trash. Like a lot of these 80s action and horror movies had a very specific purpose, and this just feels like two dudes wanted to make a thing and they did it because they loved
several
it.
things.
And it was weird and they weren't good at making that thing, but they made a thing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think I would give it 3 as well. I think what you're saying is correct. It has this genuine kind of bizarreness to it, but it doesn't ever quite hit like the joyous highs of something like a Breen or like a Miami Connection. It kind of misses some of that joy of like sort of accidentally creating something great. They just accidentally make something like worth like being disturbed by, which is, good.
Well, I think that's due to the nature of their personalities, probably.
Yeah.
They don't seem like joyful guys. And we've already mentioned these don't seem like guys like that we would want to hang out with.
Yeah.
But their goal seems very similar to Miami Connection, but we would hang out with the Miami Connection guys probably.
But I think, it's just missing like a couple little connective things that I think would really heighten the rest of the movie. But as it stands, it's like a little too confusing. That's probably where I land. But yeah, Adam's right. It's like if you were fucked up, especially if you wanted to show like a girl who's interested in fucked up weird stuff, you're like, hey, you gotta watch this movie, or whoever, a girl, guy. Yeah, it's a fun one to show people, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
I think I'd keep it down the middle. Give it a 3. There's parts that were entertaining, had me laughing, and the other parts where it's just like I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what I'm looking at.
You guys need to pick a fucking side, you goddamn fence.
Well,
hoppers.
it just doesn't quite hold your attention in a way that it could if it just made a little more sense or was a little more obviously, I don't know, like artsy, I suppose, for lack of a better word.
This movie wasn't polarizing enough to get either good or bad ratings. It's just a very middling trash
It's as
movie.
the kids say, mid.
It's definitely trash. I mean,
It's definitely trash. Oh, don't get me wrong.
Oh
This
yeah,
is,
it's trash.
this is like one of the biggest, the shittiest movies we've ever watched.
I guess mid trash is like right in the trash wheelhouse, right? It's like the Bible Belt of trash.
It's a different level. It's garbage.
This is the Bible Belt of trash.
It's 5 cans of garbage for sure.
There you go.
it's pure rotten trash.
It's a big dumpster.
Yeah.
5 things of garbage.
Yeah. All right.
Well, yeah. So that's things.
Yeah.
1989's.
I'm gonna go do some other things now.
Things.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any jokes?
I'm gonna check out Amber Lynn here in a second.
Well, folks, you've experienced.
It is almost 1:30.
1:30.
It's about that time
To check out some Amber Lynn.
I'm gonna go walk my dog and check out Amber Lynn.
Watch some bitches pour until the sun comes up.
I will say a shout out to Strict 9 with the
Oh yeah. How did you not mention that?
and Familiar Strangers, I believe is the other band that made You've been a test man.
It's funny because they say it was in the credits. They noted that, but when I searched for that song, it came up as some other band.
Yeah, so I was looking that up after you were, and it almost seems like after this movie got popular again, somebody remade that song.
You think so? Because it
Like
says
became popular as trash, so somebody else recorded that song.
When we were watching the movie, me and you were texting, and I think I found the remake of it.
John Brennan and the Big Feet.
Yeah, that's the Joe Bob band, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, you were talking. Okay, gotcha.
Maybe that's what it was. I sat through that whole thing and don't remember any of the movie, but I just remember the breaks where they did like the Tailspin song. I'll have to rewatch it. We'll see. I don't know. Shout out to the Bestiality Network.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were beasts and bestiality.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Shout out to Pure American Water.
Oh yeah. And the Kanye stealing or being inspired by all the piano tracks in this movie, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Shout out to having, the days of analog television where you can flip between every channel and they're all just porn.
Yeah, that's maybe it's a Canadian thing. I don't know.
Remember back when porn was the only thing you could watch on TV?
It was interesting. The dude was really good at turning on lamps, but he had a hard time.
No, he wasn't. He was so bad at turning on lamps.
No, he could turn on the lamp. He just couldn't turn on the TV.
It took him so long to like squat down and reach underneath the lampshade, and he struggles a little bit and then finds the switch, and then it finally turns on, and then we watch him walk across the room and do the exact same thing to another lamp, and then walk across the room and struggle to turn on the television.
Yeah.
And then another 30 seconds of him just flipping stations on the television.
They should remake this with John C. Reilly and Will
Ferrell.
Oh yeah,
just as like a Step Brothers movie. It should honestly be like a biopic about these two guys making the movie. That'd be fucking. Honestly, I would watch the shit out of that. That
Like
sounds
the
good.
Disaster Artist, but for things.
Yes, I would watch that.
Ooh.
All right.
Yeah, that's how they should read this movie.
Hey, we should try to get one of them on an interview.
Oh,
Oh,
Will
yeah.
Ferrell? Just call him.
Yeah.
I
You mean
that.
the guys?
From Como's not on here. He's out hunting Bigfoot right now.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yeah, so pretty much it starts out dudes in their underwear like talking about, hey, we got to write this movie.
Yeah, they're reading Fangoria, which they credit in
Yeah.
the credits. They're like,
Yeah.
we could do this, and they're like, I got those little ant puppets in the garage already.
and then they just put their pants on and turn the camera on and just started going.
We're just making a movie. I think we just became best friends. Yes.
Shout
there
out
you go.
to the guy whose like shirt just disappeared and we never saw it again.
Oh yeah,
Just jump cut to him popping top.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. That's how we remake
Thanks.
things. So cool.
All right, see you next
Thanks
time.
everyone for listening and everything. And follow us on Instagram, Twitter. Hit us up on the website. Email us, trashmoviekings@gmail.com. And until next time,
Merry
see you
Christmas.
later. Merry Christmas.
Holidays.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, I'm really glad I got to experience.
Feliz Mayo later.